Welcome to the Holly Hibbard Leadership Podcast, your go-to source for actionable insights, practical advice, and inspiring stories to help you lead with faith-filled purpose at work and at home. If you're looking to equip, empower, and encourage yourself to thrive in an ever-changing world, you're in the right place. I'm Holly Hibbard, and with over 20 years of experience as a science teacher, leadership coach, entrepreneur, and relationship mentor, I understand the challenges and growth opportunities that come with pursuing your passion. Whether you're chasing career goals, taking entrepreneurial leaps, or finally reaching for those long postponed ambitions, I'm here to help. So let's get comfortable having uncomfortable conversations and explore ways you can lead your family, lead your life, and find your calling with intention and faith. Hello, my friends. What's going on? Welcome back to the show. If you're new here, super hello to you. Big ol' hug, big ol' wave coming from me to you. I have so much on my mind lately that I want to share about that I'm excited about. The next series of episodes is going to be coming out at random, meaning when I sit down and record all of them, because my mind is on fire with ideas. So today I wanted to focus on a story that's been sticking out for me. And the ultimate message for you today is I want to describe for you the one time you should let others tell you what to do. And of course, I'm going to give you some story time and some context to that statement, because being a leadership coach, an executive coach, and being a support for you to develop your life and your leadership style to the best of your ability that feels the most authentic to you, I'm not a big fan of just letting people tell me or anyone what to do. But there is one instance, and it's actually one theme of an instance that's happened to me a number of times over the years that I think drives this point home. There is a time where you should let others tell you what to do. So let's stop beating around the bush. Let me get to it. I only became a coach, a life coach, an executive coach in the past, a relationship coach. I only became a professional coach because one person made a comment to me in 2013. That is the truth. That is where it all started. And so some history for you. When my dad passed away in 2013, I think, I might have my years off by a year or two, bear with me. I decided that a couple months after he passed, I was going to go on a women's retreat in California. And I lived in Florida at the time, so I drove out. Oh my goodness. I flew out, no driving from Florida to California. Not for me, no thank you. So I flew to California. I went to this women's weekend retreat. It was about leadership and empowerment and women supporting women. Very much a vibe that I was all about then and super new to, and absolutely all about now and am a leader in. And I remember in this weekend going out there, I knew one or two people as acquaintances that I had met in other places. But for the most part, I attended that conference alone. And I put myself on a stretch, a challenge to really talk to people and open up to people, especially folks that I didn't know. And at some point during the weekend, we were put into groups. There were hundreds of women. And in my group, I ended up chatting with, 5 or 6 women. And in that moment, I didn't feel like I had an immediate bond with anyone. You know how sometimes you meet new people and you just click? Well, that was not this moment. I didn't have that moment with these women. In fact, off the top of my head right now, I can't even recall a face of one person who was in that group, albeit I know I'm still connected on social media to a number of women that I met at that time who have stayed in contact with for a very long time. Anyway, so in this conversation, we were all opening up and sharing about different experiences, and I don't know what it was about me or what I said, probably not what I asked, because I wasn't a great asker of questions, but I loved giving my input. I mean, hello, I have a podcast now. Some things never change. I have video from when I was like 8 doing the same thing. 8.5 to be exact, because I told you in the video I'm 8.5. Anyway, that's another story. Or maybe my ADHD is kicking in. Back to the story. So I ended up having a side conversation after we had shared in this group with one of the women, and she came up to me and she said, have you ever thought about being a life coach? And I thought, what's that? Because at the time I was what was I teaching? Middle school at the time? I don't think I'd moved to high school yet. And I had no idea what that was. Coaching was a very, very new, nearly non-existent industry in my eyes at the time. And when she said that, I thought, oh, well, that's interesting. And I thanked her. And I think she might have said something around the lines of, I have good input on certain things and I would really help a lot of people. Okay, so I go back to my life in the classroom and I'm teaching, and again, this is maybe 6 months now after my dad had passed, and I'm really in a reflective state of my life where I'm reconsidering everything. I can only speak for myself, but I can tell you that with my dad passing and then now with my mom passing just a couple months ago, when I lost my first parent and my second parent, it's given me a lot of room to pause, reflect, and double check if my life is lining up with what I want my life to be. And I was in a moment at that time where I was doing that. So I go home. One of the speakers at this event was a life coach, and I really liked her. I ended up hiring her as my business coach. Shout out to Christy Calbos if you ever hear this one day. And because of that one remark, I took a leap after investigating what it was and do I think I would enjoy this? And it had all the components of what I enjoyed doing, which is, oh gosh, you know what? I was teaching high school at the time because this is when I left teaching. So I took a big leap. I exited teaching and went fully into, I'm going to pursue this coaching thing. And listen, it has not been a seamless process. It has been all over the place, knowing what I'm doing, not knowing what I'm doing. It's not like I said, I'm going to be a life coach or a coach, and it's going to be all about that all the time. There have been second jobs that hold me up that are my primary income while I start a business. There's just so much. But I heard that person. And when I say the one time you should let others tell you what to do, what I'm really referring to is when someone pays you a compliment and it makes you go, huh, or what is that? Or I've never heard of that. It could have been just as easy in that moment for me to say, no, I do this. I'm already doing XYZ. I'm already a teacher with 10 years in. I'm already content with my career. And I was. But I took what she said to heart because she saw something in me that I did not see yet. And that's my point today. Because sometimes a person is going to pay you a compliment or say something to you like, hey, have you ever thought about pursuing, or have you ever thought about becoming or contributing to society or contributing to your life in this way? And it gives you pause. You have the choice in that moment to disregard it and blow it off very quickly. And you might do that because there's no interest in that field for you, which is fine. Or you might blow it off because some part of you inside is thinking, oh no, you've been too invested in this thing for too long. You can't jump ship now. Or worse yet, your limiting beliefs from when you were a child that are still running you today pop up and tell you things like, who do you think you are to pursue that? They think you could be that? Huh, that's funny. That is head trash. It's terrible. And it feels very real for us. So sometimes the one time you should listen to others and let them tell you what to do is when they say something about you, about what they perceive you to be skilled at or gifted at, because it might be a new facet of your life. And to reiterate this point, when I fast forward 2 years or so from that point, maybe a little less than that, I was told by a coach that I had hired, have you ever considered this transformational training? And I said, I've never heard of it. And he told me where it was. It was a couple hours away from where I lived in Florida. And I ended up, again, just like that retreat in California, going alone, knowing no one, knowing not where I was going or what I was doing. I had no clue. This was very strange because I'm in my early 30s at this point, and I felt like a teenager with zero experience. And all of those, you're a fraud, all that stuff is popping up in my mind. So I go to this workshop, and as this workshop, it's 3 parts. And by the time I got to part 2, the second part, I completed a 4-day workshop, and now part 2 is a 5-day workshop. And I remember on the first or second day, one of my classmates came up to me on a break because I had stood up in front of the group and had shared something. And my classmate said, you know, you could actually be teaching a class like this. And I thought, what? Because it was so ridiculous, because this is a very powerful session and a very serious dive deep with people session. To facilitate something like this, you have to be incredibly present and dynamic and trust yourself and trust that you can really love these people well to bring out and point out the best in them, even when it means highlighting things too that are in their way that they might not want to hear. So to be a facilitator of that, and my teammate, my friend, my classmate at that point saying that to me, I thought that was ridiculous. But again, the one time you should let others tell you what to do is when that gives you pause. Because again, he saw something in me that I did not see in myself. To me, I was just a teacher. I was just somebody that could teach in front of a classroom, give me a lesson, and I can deliver it or give me the outline. But I didn't realize that my ability to open up or to be vulnerable or to be honest allowed other people to do the same. I know it now. Gosh, how many years later? 12 years later or so? But at the time, I didn't know that. And so this episode today is to give you an invitation to consider, when was the last time someone shared with you, hey, have you considered doing this or pursuing that? You would really be great at that. Let that compliment in. Absorb it. And instead of just shrugging it off and moving on, give it some research. Do a Google search. Look it up if you don't know enough about it. Or if there is a piece of it, it might not even be the whole enchilada that they're talking about, but maybe there's one component that you've never considered yourself gifted enough to do or skilled enough to do. But I truly believe that when someone sees the greatness in you, they're not going to bring out a parade to announce it. It's going to come out as a one-liner like, hey, have you ever thought about being a life coach? Or, you know, you could really lead something like this class or this workshop. And look where it's brought me. At this point, I've created hundreds of pieces of video content for social media. I'm approaching 50 podcast episodes. I'm only on 47 right now, but I'm going to get there. And I've written online courses. I became one of the facilitators of those workshops that I talked about, that the person said to me I could lead, which I thought was no, not at all. And I did it, and I have done it. I still lead workshops online now and can't wait to be in person more often than I am now too, because I still do that as well. But you guys, folks, if I had not really considered that suggestion, or rather heard that compliment as a suggestion, or for me, a nudge from God, I wouldn't be here. So consider that. That's your invitation for today. I would love to hear from you. Drop me a comment. There's even an option that says you can send me a text about a podcast episode and share with me the last compliment that someone gave to you that maybe in the back of your mind you thought, I wonder if I really could do that thing or use that skill. I would love to hear from you. That's all I have for you for today. I hope this supports you in some way. And until next time, I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for listening. I'm high-fiving you right now because I'm so proud of you for putting your personal growth first. Remember, I believe in you, and with faith-filled intention and committed actions, you can lead your life, purpose, and family to wherever you dream possible. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean so much to me if you'd take 30 seconds to help others discover the show. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, share the show with your friends and family, or screenshot this episode to your Instagram stories and tag me at thehollyhibbard. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. I'm always here cheering you on, and until next time, stay curious, remain encouraged, and keep empowering yourself. You're doing better than you think, I promise.